Hi everyone, and welcome again to another screencast all about Renewed Vision's ProPresenter 5. So I saw this question today, and normally I answer these questions on the Church Tech Cast Q&A show, but it's a little more involved, so I'm actually recording a screencast to show you how to do this. This is from user All the People over at churchmedia.net, which is run by a couple of friends of mine, and he asks, how can a ProPresenter slide cue an audio playlist and not just one song? Dragging them all tries to start the songs all at once. In case you need to know, we have a presentation set up with 2 video announcement loops playing, then QR countdown and a clear audio cue. We want that first video to cue an audio playlist. Thank you. Okay, so if I'm understanding what he's asking, and I might not be, but this is what I have in mind, is something like this. Now, these are just a couple of random things, but these are 2 of my videos that I've just put in there just for laughs. If you've got it on high resolution, high definition, which you absolutely should do anytime you're watching a screencast if you can, you'll notice that this one is 721 and this one's 937. You'll also notice that the lighting's slightly different between the 2 because they were shot on different days. I just happened to be wearing the same clothing. Anyway, so what I have here is I have a playlist set up that I think meets his requirements. So what he said is it's a playlist, an audio playlist that is cued by a video. So here's what I did. I'll just take you through the steps over here. If you go down lower left hand side here, I have already created a document. Now a document is like one of these things in the library. You just click on this little gear doohickey and go to New Document, and that will create it, and I named it Blank Test. So the very first thing that I did was in this Blank Test document here, I pressed the plus button a few times just to get some slides in there. Okay? Now the next thing I did is, you see this audio icon, and if you don't see this up here, you might have to go, I think it's in Preferences, and turn that on. But anyway, you click on the audio icon and you'll notice this audio bin shows up here. Now what I've already done is I've already preloaded a bunch of songs from my church, and you can do that again by pressing the plus button and selecting the songs from your hard drive. So that should be pretty straightforward. Now here's the magic. So what I want to do is, as I'm going to pull this down just a hair. As I play it, you'll notice that it plays here in the audio bin. I'm going to just pause that here, and I can go back to the beginning, or I could scrub if I wanted to, but that really doesn't help you. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I want the first 3 songs. So I am going to hold down Command. I'm doing this all on ProPresenter 5 for a Mac, so it might be different on a PC, I don't know. Command and click all 3, and they're blue here. Actually, I don't want to do that. Sorry. Got confused there for a second. I'm going to pause this. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to drop it here on one of the slides. And I could be grabbing any of these songs and doing them in any order. And 3. Okay, so there we go. We've got these 3 songs in there. I'm going to hit pause here. Now, let's say that we want to trigger it with a video. So I'm going to start with one of these foreground videos. That's here. Let me pause that again. It's very important you don't choose background here. You choose foreground, and you add the videos using, again, this plus sign down here. In here, And so your first video, you'll just drag and drop, and look again for this icon. I've said this in some of the previous videos, that you see this icon to the left that looks like a slate with a play button on it. That's what it should be. If you had it as a background video, it wouldn't have that icon. So the MP3 will have this icon here that's like a little MP3 icon on it, again, as long as you've got ProPresenter for Mac. And then the foreground videos will have these icons. Okay, so that gets us part of the way there, but it's not auto-advancing. So how do we solve this problem? Well, so the first thing I would do is I would go ahead and I would right-click on one of the slides that I want to auto-advance and go down to Go to Next Timer. Now this is really important. Read what this says and you'll notice in the case of foreground videos, it's the amount of time after the last frame of the video. In the case of everything else, it's the amount of time total. Now that might seem confusing to you, but that's just the way that this works. So we know that song number 1 here is, if I'm remembering it correctly, it is no other name here. That's 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Well, this says in seconds. So we do a little math, pull out your iPhone, your Android phone, whatever, pull up the calculator app, do a little math. 60 times 2 is 120 plus 28. That's 148 seconds. So that's what I'm going to type in here, 148. Okay. Now, the next song is this guy, and that's Hallelujah. So, ideally, yeah, see, so that comes out, you can check it by checking the time here. You'll notice count up, count down, so that is in fact the first one. So if I go to the second one, that should be 3:34. Yeah, we had those two, that's 3:34. Okay, so I'm going to pause that and right click, again, go to next timer, and so 3 minutes, 3 times 60 is 180. 180 plus 34 is 214. So I just remove the 0, 214, and OK. So you see how that works? I figure out how much time it is, how long it is in seconds, and then I put that in. So this third song is 7 minutes 19 seconds. It's actually not a song, it's my pastor preaching. But so 7 minutes 19, 6 times 7 is 42, 6 times 70 is 420, plus 19 is 439. Yeah, 439. So I right click, go to next timer, 439 seconds. Okay? So, for this first video, I will right click on it and do the go to next timer. And again, remember how long after the last frame of video before it goes to the next element when it's a foreground video, which is what this is. So I want 0 on that. So if I'm understanding him correctly, he wants this video to play, and I'm going to advance that, and once that video gets done, he wants it to trigger the next song. So that when that video gets done here in 20 seconds or so, I expect that it will go ahead and it will trigger this next song, No Other Name. So we will see in just a couple of seconds if that's what it in fact does. And the screen should go black, and yes, it did. So now it's playing that, and you'll notice you can monitor over here. It doesn't do anything over here. It only does it over here. So if for some reason you needed to pause it or start back, this is the control interface that you use for the audio bin. Now you might be thinking, well, Paul, what happens if I want audio to be playing while there are slides, announcement slides for example, looping behind it? No problem. So let's go to backgrounds here. It could be a foreground still as well. It doesn't really matter in this one case. So what we can do is we can put different images. Hold on. Put different images here. And I'll put that one there. So if I click on this one, for example, you will notice that the audio keeps playing. That's because audio behaves like a background video. But since it's audio, it doesn't mess up a background. Unless the audio and the video have the same thing going on. So if they both have audio, then that's probably going to be problematic. But with it like this, we'll see that it in fact doesn't have that problem. That the video will change, and of course one of my daughter's friends who doesn't understand that you only have to press the doorbell once, and my dog who not liking it. Okay, ignore that, and we will continue on here despite this noise in the background. So as the background changes, because these are slides, no biggie. So I can do a go to next timer. Let's do a go to next timer of, let's say, 5. And while I'm on this song should stop, and then when this slide is over, it will go to the next slide, which has this song on it. So you see how that works? So if you want like 20 slides with this one song, just put in 20 slides with this one song. And then do the math to figure out how long each of the slides have to be up for the go to next timer to remain true to the length of the song. Okay, so for some reason that didn't work. So in actual practice, the way that I would do this is add a go to next timer for 5 seconds. So I have 148. I'm going to tweak the time on that. So from go to next timer, there it is. I'm going to change that from 148 to 138. So I click on that, and now I can start this one. Remember that auto started after the video. So I start this one, and after 138 seconds, which is 10 seconds from the end, it'll go on to the next one. But what you should know is me changing it up here doesn't affect how long the first slide stays. So actually a better way for me to do this would be to go to next timer, and let's see, let's make that 5 seconds. That one's 5 seconds. Let's make this, let's see here, go to next timer. I will make that one 138. In all actuality, I would just keep repeating slides until I got down to pretty close to an equal amount of time, or even put 2 back-to-back that are identical slides that had different songs. But so let's start this over again. Let's start with 5 seconds on the first one. So we see that this does in fact play, the background does look like this, and it changes to this, and look, the audio keeps going. And if I hadn't already been bit by the copyright police on YouTube, I would do this. They didn't enjoy me playing a song that I had the rights to play. So I'm not going to tempt fate this time. I'm just going to have to ask you to trust me on this, and trust me that this does in fact, you can in fact hear it. And this will, when we get to here, because we haven't messed with this slide should be running for the duration of the rest of the song, and then it will go to the next song or the next slide, and we can continue on from there. So you see how that works. Now if you wanted to repeat this whole thing over again, let's say you wanted to repeat the whole shebang except for this first video, what I would do is I would right click on that video and go down to let's see here, disable slide. So when I first start my playlist here, what I would do is for the very first time I would click on that, and then down here I would right click, add a loops to first slide, and I'm going to disable this one too because it doesn't have anything on it. Okay, so when I do that, it would loop to the first slide and start my audio playlist again. So before I start this, I do it, well, first let me show you that this works since we're so close. I'd really hate to start up something that's like 2 minutes long. So what I expect is this will auto advance to this slide, and we should see this go black here in less than 10 seconds. Okay, so in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, that's right. It didn't go to black because black is ProPresenter's indication that there's nothing on there. So if you wanted it to go to black, you'd actually have to have an image that is black. Sorry, just these little details really matter. So that's how that would work, and you could just keep going through this until you decide, okay, it's time to move on to the next video element, and then you could start that video element. Okay, and now if you change the go to next timer, it will go to the next thing down here in the playlist. Okay, so you can do a lot of automation that way. So going back to what I was talking about before here, let me take that out. If you set it up this way, what will happen is you play this video, okay, and then as this video gets down to the end, it should auto advance to this one right here. Okay, now when we get down to the last, well, however you've set your go to next timer, because you can click on a disabled slide and it will behave as well, it just doesn't automatically go there. So now we are playing the audio and advancing the slides with the audio not changing. And then we're going to keep advancing the slides, and then when it gets done with this 439 seconds, it will start back at number 3, because these two are in fact disabled. And I'm really sorry for all that barking, but I think that you get the gist of what happened. So that's how I got this playlist up here, which you'll notice is identical to this one except for the number of slides and placement and stuff like that. Okay? So that's basically how I got that, and I think that that will do what you're looking to have it do, all the people, sir or ma'am, whichever you are, and I think that it'll accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. And you can tweak things if you need to. But I hope that helps you. Until next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.